Wes Letson. Wes, I always tell everybody I know, you're the author of your own life, and every athlete has a great story. And I would love to hear yours and share it with everyone.
For having me on, Lisa.
Anytime. How'd you fall in love with baseball?
So I was probably 4 or 5 years old when I started playing in the backyard, and I grew up in a really small community. So that's pretty much all we did was play sports and go to the ball field and play wiffle ball and stuff in the backyard. So that's kind of how I got involved with baseball. I didn't play any other sports really. I played football for maybe 3 years, and that was about it. I love baseball. Was a huge Braves fan growing up, and so my grandparents and I would sit and watch Braves games every night, and then my parents would, do the same thing. So it was kind of a thing for us to do at night.
What was one person that motivated you and stuck with you by your side throughout your whole career?
My parents and grandparents were both influential in baseball. That was something I wanted to make them proud through ball. And so they supported me in every way. They never missed my games. I don't think my granddad ever missed a game. Even through college, traveling and into pro ball, I think was the first time they'd really missed games because they just couldn't get all over the country to watch me play. But yeah, they were probably the most influential and really the most supportive.
I see you were inducted in the Hall of Fame at your college, Birmingham Southern. What was that like? What were your thoughts on that?
Man, that was special. A definite honor to get that with so many athletes that come through every year and have played there at Birmingham Southern. I guess definitely the icing on the cake for my college career that I had. Like I said, it was a special time for me and my family and my kids. My kids, that come up didn't get to watch me play much ball because we had them after my career was over. And so getting to bring them back to college and kind of seeing some teammates and coaches and them kind of getting to experience what a baseball dad is was pretty cool.
What's one moment that you would want to relive in your college career that you'll never forget?
Ooh, probably the most memorable thing was my freshman year. I'd come into college and obviously the older guys were going to pitch in college. We were D1 at that time, and our number one guy had gotten hurt on Friday night. And so Coach Shoup came to me, and I'm still a freshman. I still got baby face and all this. He said, "Wes, you're starting Friday night." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've not even pitched in college." And I'm like, "Okay, well, we're playing Ball State at the time, and their number one pitcher ended up getting drafted number one overall. So at the game, there are 40 scouts there. There's general managers there to watch this guy pitch. And then you got me pitching against him. And I am scared to death. I'm not going to lie. That was probably the most scared I've ever pitched. And so we ended up, I think I threw 6 innings or 7 innings and gave up 1 hit and had 13 strikeouts against this guy. And we beat him. And it was kind of put me on the map for baseball at that time. It was like, well, maybe I can pitch in college. Maybe I'm actually good. So yeah, that was probably the most memorable baseball experience for me.
Have you ever experienced any injuries, any struggles? Like, what was the most difficult moments for you?
Yeah, that probably my most difficult was the injury that ended my career. Was my elbow with Florida and pitching. And so yeah, that was probably the most difficult time is giving up baseball, something that I'd done since I was 4 years old. And here I am 27 years old and it's over. So yeah.
If you could go back in time, what would you change?
If I could go back into as far as baseball,
Yes.
I would probably have not been so hard on myself. I was very competitive, like most athletes are, especially at the higher levels, and I was extremely hard on myself. I expected perfection every time I stepped on the ball field. So yeah, that'd probably be my biggest thing. I'd have been a little bit easier on myself.
Through your college career, do you have any certain routines that you stuck with? Make sure you didn't get distracted or anything like that?
I did. My biggest thing when I would pitch, I would get really nervous. And so the night before I pitched, I would go and probably about 10 o'clock, I would get dressed, put my earphones on. I'd go run like 4 or 5 miles just to kind of knock the edge off, which was probably dumb because I was exhausted the next day when I would pitch. But I couldn't pitch hyped up. Like I couldn't pitch with too much adrenaline because it was not good. I'd walk people. I couldn't get settled in. And so that was kind of my routine is the night before, go run 4 or 5 miles, about an hour. And then the next day, be ready to pitch.
At what moment did you know you wanted to play professional baseball?
Probably from when I was a kid, honestly, Lisa. It was just kind of what I wanted to do growing up. I want to play for the Braves. I mean, watching Chipper and like I said, Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine was one of my favorite guys. It was kind of like, man, that's who I want to play for. So that was kind of it. I never dreamed I would get there because I knew the chances of getting to pro ball were slim to none for most people. So I had that dream, but I never thought it would become a reality.
When you were getting drafted and you heard your name being called, what was your thoughts and your emotions you felt?
Really exciting. My first call was actually the Pittsburgh Pirates that called and were like, "Hey, if we take you here, you're going to come." And I'm like, huh, "Man, I'll play for anybody at this point, you know." And
Yeah.
so that round came and they didn't pick me. I was like, "What in the world, you know?" And then I hadn't talked to anyone, with Atlanta. I hadn't really known that they had came and watched me pitch. That the general managers at that time had come, and so we're sitting there listening to the radio in Birmingham at my aunt and uncle's house, and they're on, I guess, online at that time,
Yeah.
and it wasn't televised. And they said my name in Atlanta Braves. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me!" And so yeah, it was an exciting day for our family. I mean,
Dream come true.
It was fun. It was absolutely.
What have you
Absolutely.
learned from playing with the Braves?
Well, I really learned how to be more professional. The Braves, they carry their organization, they carry their players, and they expect you to treat it like a job. Be on time, do what you say you're going to do, have a work ethic, and work hard. And so that kind of has spilled over even into my career today.
I remember you saying that you don't pitch that good when you're all hyped up and everything. If you had a game like that, how do you motivate yourself after the game to play good in the next one?
Really a lot of it, you kind of, for me, is go back, look at what we did wrong. How do we fix it? Where did we make mistakes? Lean on your coaches. Say, man, what did you see? What, ask your catcher what was going on here, because sometimes you feel really good and you get rocked. And then some days you feel really bad and throw well. So it's a weird game. It really is. But, my thing was there was always a desire and always a goal to be the best. And so that's the motivation. I mean, it's almost you motivate yourself to be the best you possibly can. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I did it.
As a pitcher, you're constantly throwing on your arm, and obviously you get tight and injuries happen. You're throwing almost every day. What do you do to reduce injury and reduce the risk of Tommy John surgery?
Yeah, so the big thing is physically taking care of yourself. I think one of the things that is probably not taught enough and explained to young kids, especially pitchers and other athletes, is you got to take care of your body. You have so many throws in your arm. You have so many, swings in the bat where something's going to go wrong. And so I think nutrition, honestly, diet and the right workouts is, instrumental in having long careers. I think you look at other athletes, the Tom Brady's and these other guys that have played games and spent their careers 15, 20 years playing. It's not because they're lucky. It's because they take care of themselves and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal trainers and nutrition. You can still take care of yourself and treat your body like you would your engine in your car. You got to give it oil. You got to give it the right fuel, and hopefully it produces for you.
How did you transition from the Braves organization to the Marlins?
So yeah, it was completely two different organizations. Like I said, the Braves was very professional, and I'm not saying the Marlins was not, but the Marlins was really, to me, had more of a college feel to it. It was really laid back. The Braves, your front office is out there in their collared shirts and their slacks, and
Yeah.
you get to Florida, and I look out here, and the guys are in uniforms on the ball field with us and taking BP and hitting. And I'm like, what is going on here? This guy's 80 years old in a Marlins uniform out here walking around. But it was so much fun. I mean, it really was so laid back, and I enjoyed it. I really love playing with the Marlins organization. It was a lot of fun for me.
I'm going to be a coach for Clutch Baseball Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, it's exciting. I think what Grant is doing there and wanting to do is going to be really good. And this is special stuff. Teaching guys about nutrition, about weight training, about You don't have to play baseball 12 months a year to get to be good. I played 3 months out of the year, 4 months out of the year max coming through high school. And even into college, the same thing. And it's like, I turned out fine, and so did the rest of these guys that playing at the high level. And I think I think it's going to be really good. I mean, I'm excited to see how this goes, where it goes. I think it's going to be good for people that get involved, for their kids, and for these players, because I think they can be taught and kind of go back to where baseball used to be, that was putting guys successful, and kind of root out a lot of these lies that you've got to pay this much money to do this, you've got to travel all around the world, and all these I call them gimmicks, to be honest with you. And so I think it's really cool, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, you've learned a lot through your baseball career, playing pro, playing in college, being in the Hall of Fame, making an impact on the program. What do you want to teach these young kids when you look at them? What do you want instilled in their brain?
Man, the big thing, Lisa, is just teaching guys work ethic, responsibility, to work hard for whatever it is. And, not everybody's going to get to go play for the Yankees, for the Braves at that high level. But what baseball teaches, it teaches teamwork. Again, it teaches work ethic. It teaches that responsibility, the self-motivation, to do more than you think you can do, and to push yourself, and always be learning. And that's what I hope it gets out, because more than anything, you're just trying to produce young men that are good fathers, that are good husbands, and through baseball, hopefully that's something we can teach them.
What about off the field? What about regarding baseball? What do you want to teach them as a person?
Yeah, really, the real thing is just to be a good human being,
Yeah.
and to treat people the way you want to be treated. And I mean, this world, I mean, we've got so much just negativity, it seems like, with everything, and just,
Yeah.
It's almost depressing sometimes if you watch the news too much. But just to teach these young guys to go out and be a good influence on people, to be something positive with the people around them, in the world that they live in, the city they live in, and the community they're involved with. And so that's what I hope they see out of it, and that baseball is a tool that they can use in the future to reach other people, and to have something positive.
Guys think about, oh, should I be playing baseball or should I go out and party? And they have to figure out which one they want more. What advice do you give to those guys that are bad influence on others, and how to try to pull you away from your passion from baseball and the wrong crowd? Like, what advice do you have to give to the kid who's being influenced by someone like that?
Yeah, my biggest thing, and we've all faced it, right? I think every baseball player, any athlete you've ever asked, has been, we'll say, peer pressured into doing things and going places and stuff. And I can't sit and tell you that I didn't fail at some point. But what I learned through that is to be a leader and not always a follower, right? And sometimes it's good to follow, because you're going to have good leaders and you want to follow those people, right? I had an incredible leader in college, incredible coaches with Atlanta and Florida. I want to follow them, be like them, right? But I've also had bad ones. And so my thing is, teach these guys to learn from them, and then become leaders themselves, and to always do what's right. It may not always be popular, but at the end of the day, you can lay your head on your pillow and know that you did things the right way for the right reasons. And, you don't have to go to bed worrying about something dumb you've done. And,
Yeah.
You can't look back 10 years and go, man, I wish I would have done this different.
Has there ever been a coach, your father, anybody that you looked up to that said something to you that you'll never forget?
Wow. Man, there's a lot of people that have done that.
Throw them out there. Throw them out
I
there.
will tell you the two things that have always stood out to me are, my grandfather. We growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. To be honest with you, we weren't filthy rich and all these things, but we had everything we ever wanted, everything we ever needed in life. But the two things that and I'll never forget growing up, was my dad and my granddad shaking men's hands, and respect, and looking in eyes. And they always told me, your word is all you'll ever have. It's your integrity. And when you shake a man's hand, it's a bond, and you keep your word. And I've always taken that everywhere. And just even to this day, when I shake a man's hand, it's like, all right, you got to do whatever you said you was going to do. And something I even teach my 5-year-old and 6-year-old right now is like, hey, we shake hands, right? You better do what you're going, so That's one of the things that's always stuck with me, even to this day. It's even in the business world today. That's it. Hey, one day it's going to be over. One day your career is over, but your friendships, the stories, the families that you're around, man, those go on forever and ever.
Stick with you for life.
They do, for sure.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for giving me the time to interview you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me on, and Merry Christmas and Happy New
Thank you
Year.
for everything. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
Bye. Take care.
All right. See you, Lisa.